Well, hello and welcome to this live training on the 5 essentials you need to nail a B2B funnel in under 90 minutes. So today's workshop is going to be a combination of tactics and strategies and a couple case studies as well too. It's a bold claim and we've thrown down the gauntlet, but what we want to do is we want to cover the 5 essentials that you need. We want to show some examples and maybe pull some of those bits together in as little as 90 minutes. And to lead the show today is my good buddy and business partner, Simon Ogilvie-Lee. Hey, wave, Simon.
Good day, everybody.
Everybody. Now, me, I'm a very high-level thinker. I love my strategy. I go with my gut. Simon is a data-driven human being, and he's got an analytical brain, which is why it's always great to bring someone like Simon into conversations like this, because he can break down the tech bits, the tools, the structure in neat and succinct ways so that we can follow his lead and then we can make it our own. I also want to give a shout out to all the people who are members of our world already. So if you're a member of the B2B school, or if you're a client of B2B Dash, I want to give you a holler. I want to give you a shout out. I want to say heidi ho. And I want to say thank you. Well done you, because you are among the 0.01% that invest in your education. So you are amazing. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you for being part of our world. Summit attendees, if you're participating in the B2B Sales and Marketing Summit, welcome. You might not have spent much time in our company before, but welcome. We're about to have a whole lot of fun. If you've just stumbled in here because you're interested in the topic, great to see you here as well too. And of course, if you are watching a recording, play along as if this were live, okay? So we've got a bunch of different audiences from a bunch of different aspects of our multiverse, all converging together today. Welcome and thank you for setting aside the time. Now, I am going to pass across to Simon, who is going to kick things off at a very high level. And I want to make sure that you have pen and paper handy, because he's going to start very high and then we're going to get more granular and then we're going to get more granular again. And let's see how we go. Over to you, Simon.
Cool. All right. Well, everybody, let's get into it. So today we're going to cover the 5 essentials that you need to nail a B2B funnel in under 90 minutes. We are going to go as deep as we can on each one to hit that timeline, but understand each one is an individual well that you can go down and become an absolutely pro tactic at. But you got to start somewhere and you need these 5 things. So first thing I want to do is just get a little bit of a poll going here. So when you think about your B2B funnel, building a B2B funnel, what's the hardest part that comes to mind? Okay, use the chat tool. Is it your strategy? Is it figuring out what tech tools to put together? What thing normally blocks you from getting a successful outcome? All right.
What are the factors that slow you down? So sometimes we don't know what we need to do, but we sometimes are aware of the factors that are slowing us down, that are getting in our way, that are causing us to procrastinate. And we don't necessarily sometimes even see them on a conscious level. But when Simon asked the question, we began to observe our natural behaviors and our inclinations, our defaults, and that is a self-awareness exercise, which is very, very powerful. What have people said, Simon?
Some really good things coming here. So Naomi said, getting the right people into the funnel, that's a massive, massive one. Obtaining good contacts list. Kate says she's never done one start to finish, really. Rafi said how to actually get them to convert into clients at some point properly. That's a big one that a lot of people just never really figure out how to quite do. They can sort of get the thing started, but then it's like, well, how do I join the dot between here and there? I need to get them from over here as a lead into my client list. What else have we got? Andrew said, actually finishing them. Oh my goodness. B2B funnels, and James and I, we always talk about the Franken funnels that get built sometimes. You can start and you can be building and building and building and building and tweaking, perfecting, and it's ready ready, aim, 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 and you never pull the trigger. Okay, and that can waste a lot of time in your business, and you lose a lot of life actually when you do that. What else have we got here? Getting my head around the flow of emails. Like what's the journey actually like here for the lead? What are they getting at what time? Should they have tags added to them at some point? All of that kind of stuff comes into sequence. Steps to follow for follow-up for an actual, for the sequences. So after you sort of get that initial contact happening, how should I be doing the follow-up here? What do I say? When do I say it? What's the right thing to say at the right time? That's from Chris. Another one, Chris Pop. So drafting the text for the funnel emails usually trips him up. He probably gets a bit of writer's block and then gets stuck with, waffling in some email and it ends up twice as long than he intends. That's a common frustration. Just getting the overall structure together, really clear in your head, like what's the whole thing supposed to look like? So all of these things are really great, guys. And every single one of them can stop you, but every single one of them can be resolved. And we're going to show you a way to do that today. Other things like copywriting, the lead magnets, connecting all the dots and the moving parts, APIs, URLs, links, tags, etc. Spot on, guys. Absolutely. These are the problems that everybody is facing when they try and tackle this. So we end up often getting too many conflicting opinions. These are some of the big crux points that happen throughout here. One person says this, one person says you need a lead magnet, one person says you got to nail your email copy, one person says you got to try this new channel. Where do you start? Honestly, who do you listen to? Who do you trust? Where should you actually begin? Another one is, and this came up in the comments, is you've just got kind of an unclear path or an unclear destination. You've gotten started with no real plan in place. And so your leads are coming in and they don't really know where they should be going and you're not really sure what they should be doing either. So you end up getting a mixed result. And finally, tech tool overwhelm. So you've got your merchants, your cart pages, your landing page builders, your email sequences, your email marketing tools, your CRMs, what else have we got? Forms. Like how many more things can go into this funnel to overwhelm you? And this is a massive one. So I want you to now take a step back from all that confusion and have a think about how it would actually feel if you got this sorted. How would you feel if you had a consistent, systemized pipeline of leads, bookings, sales running on autopilot every single day? What would that enable in your business? I want you to use the chat tool, okay? So tell me, how would that change your life? How would that change your business if every single day you had leads and bookings coming in and plenty of opportunities to have sales conversations? And because just by sheer volume of numbers and practice over time, your conversions were increasing and sales were coming through the door. So let's have a look here. We've got relief. What a big one. I'd feel relaxed. Jacqueline says, a calm in the storm. Heather, free to do what I want rather than what I think I have to do. Cameron would experience growth. The business would actually move forward, right? Once again, I could breathe. I'm sensing a theme here, right? So this, the contrast of the overwhelm here is just that, wow, right? What else? I'd feel like a rock star. More time to sell. I'd feel like I'm in control. I could give up my day job. This wouldn't be a side hustle anymore. It'd actually be a business that kicks off its enough volume, enough activity to get going. This is really good. All right. Well, let's jump into how you guys can tackle and get your core B2B funnel set up. As your business goes on, you may have 5, 6, 10, 20, 30 funnels. Doesn't matter. Initially, you're going to build one. And this is going to be the core funnel that continues to deliver and everything will build from there. So there's really only 5 essentials that you actually need to nail in this component. There's lots of other things. It can feel like there's 10 or 20 and all these different channels and everything like that. But if you get these 5 things right, you can then just focus on filling it from whatever source makes sense for your budget, for your knowledge, for your expertise, for your industry, for your business type, right? So number 1, we need to nail the piece of content. Now, this is often where a lot of people will fall short. They have a vague piece of content. Now, when I say piece of content, I'm thinking, an ebook, a lead magnet, something to download, could be a cheat sheet, a worksheet, something that you can give to the leads, to the market, to the traffic, the visitors, in exchange for their first name, last name, email, maybe their phone number, if you're doing things a little bit more advanced. Okay, you need to get this bit right, and there's an approach that you can take to get it right. I'm going to let James handle that a little bit later. All right, let's focus on the rest. So number 2, you're going to need a lead gateway. Now, what is a lead gateway? I'll go through it in a minute. I just want to run through. These are all the 5 things that we're going to cover. Okay, you need to have a pre-qual. Okay, you need to have a certain amount of dialogue and engagement and questioning that's going on with your leads. All right, so how do we do that? Next, you're going to want to make sure you have a trust sequence. So in the journey from when they first come into contact with you to the time they become a client, or at least get on a sales call, there needs to be touch points happening that are elevating their trust in potentially working with you. And 5, we need to make sure you've really gotten clear on what your UOT is. Now, UOT stands for Ultimate Online Transaction. What is the thing in the digital world that every lead or every great lead for you should be doing? Okay, so let's cover all of these pieces 2 to 5, and then we're going to wrap back to the piece of content. Now, where do you start, right? There's lots of things you could tackle. You could jump in the middle, you could jump at the end. You might think, oh, well, I'll just start linearly from the way the lead's coming in. I'll go with the piece of content, then I'll make an opt-in form, etc. I like to suggest that we start with the end in mind. So we're really clear on the destination that we're trying to get somebody to. That will save you countless hours and weeks and months and even years off your life by knowing, well, I just need to get them to here, rather than building a labyrinth that gets almost nowhere. So we need to decide what's the UOT that's right for us. We can get them to buy something, or we can get them to book a meeting, sales call, all right? Which one works best for you will come down to, I guess, your offering, your product ecosystem, your ascension model. Where in the funnel is this going to take place? If we're talking about your core funnel and you're in, say, the B2B consulting space or the business coaching space, professional services, web developers, SEO, all of that kind of stuff, essentially you're going to need to have a conversation with somebody. So for the purposes of this one, we'll focus more primarily on the booking. We want them to make a booking. Now, I think James wants to jump in here.
Like a little bit earlier, we talked about what the goals are, and someone said, I don't know how to convert. I struggle to get them to the conversion point. The UOT is the ultimate online transaction. It is the ultimate, as in it's the last final step in the journey. It's online because a lot of deals end offline, but we're talking about the ultimate online transaction. And the T word, transaction, means that it's something that can be measured. And all sorts of businesses have different business models, and you need to know your destination. So I actually think it'd be really helpful, Simon, to just ask the question, if someone's going through your funnel, what is your end goal? What is your ultimate online destination for the people that are coming into your world? So for example, Craig says, what about for a SaaS sale? That there is buy. I pull out my credit card details, tappity, 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 tap, and I buy something. E-commerce, cha-ching. Or if it's a more complex sale where there's going to need to be some sort of conversation, that's the point when someone's going to book a time with you. And Simon's going to go into this in a little bit more detail and provide you with a strategy to book more of those meetings. Don't do it like everybody else. But some people, it's the end of the funnel. They get to the end, they pull out their credit card, tappity, 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 tap, buy. That is an ultimate online transaction. It's the last transaction online. Somebody going tappity, 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 tap, Thursday, 2 p.m., submit. That is also the final online step. And it's also a transaction because it can be measured. You can't improve what you cannot measure. So that's what we want to hear from you guys and gals right now. What is your ultimate online transaction, or what is likely to be your primary one, your main one, your main focus? You might use both. We use both, but you might, but for the purposes of this training right now, I want you to say buy or book. See, Chris has already said book an AWP. Book, there we go. Book a time with me, book, primary book. And as Simon predicted, most people on this call are in the B2B space, which means that most of the time you're selling a complex product or service, which usually begins with a conversation. Now, that's not going to stop you at the end of that conversation saying, this is great. There's clearly an opportunity for us to work together here. How would you like to get started? And they say, well, I'd like to get started tomorrow. And you say, great. Have you got your credit card handy? I'll take a deposit. At which point then it's tappity, 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 tap. And that's the e-commerce sale. But your ultimate online transaction is either going to be book or buy. And it looks like the majority have said book. And I like Jacqueline, book and then buy. That's right. They're going to call you. You're going to have a conversation and then you're going to take the money, and a wonderful, beautiful, mutually beneficial relationship is going to follow. So book or buy, keep them coming. Back to you, Simon.
Cool. And that was a good distinction just there to make, is it doesn't mean that they're not going to buy. It doesn't mean that we're not going to continue to use online tools to gather more information as they get onboarded into our world. But essentially, we want to look at a new lead coming into your world. What's the first core thing, step, action that we need them to take? Get on the phone with us, get face-to-face, or buy, right? Book or buy, all right? And an overwhelming response there is weighted towards booking. So it's good to see. Now, let's just briefly cover the cart stuff then, and then we'll go back to the booking. So if you are going to get someone to buy through by product, whether it's your big core product or just a small little one to sort of get a little bit of traction going with somebody, a couple of really key things that you can do here to make a big lift, what we call a sales lift in your business. All right. So number one we want to do is name it. When we're in the consulting and business coaching and professional services kind of space, we're often fall into the trap of time for money, working in a commoditized space where we're going up against other competitors. You know, if we sell a website, you know, we're going up against other web designers, web developers, etc. If you can shift away from playing in the same game and give what you're selling a name. Okay, so I'll continue with the web developer example. So let's say you're selling a website. You're not going to sell a website. You might sell a couple of different options. Someone could buy a basic package from you. Someone could buy an authority site from you if they're in the personal branding space or the speaking from stage arena. You could have a recruitment website package. You could have a premium branding and digital online infrastructure plan or package. All right, I'm pulling these off the top of my head, but you can see how it changes the mental view of what we're paying for. Okay, what they're buying, what they're getting. All right, so always try and come up with a name for the thing that they're buying from you. If I can go back to say the example of monthly coaching, figure out what outcome they're going to get out of that coaching and use that to come up with a name. You know, if you're James, this is a good spot for you to come up with a couple of ideas in different points. If you're in, say, I was going to add one
right now. Look, selling and scale. That could be a coaching program. Yeah. Someone comes into my world and they say, I meet people. What do you do? I'm a coach. How am I going to work with you? Oh, well, you're going to spend an hour with me every 2 weeks and it's going to cost you $750 a month. That doesn't sound very compelling to me. But if you turn around and say, I've got a package, it's called the Selling at Scale package. It's 12 weeks. We're going to cover A, B, C, and D, and you're going to get these 3 outcomes and you're going to feel like this. No longer is that person thinking $750 for 2 phone calls. That's rubbish. Even though that could be amazing value. They're seeing it as a package. And there are lots of ways to name a service, what it is that you do. You just need to bundle it, package it up. People pay for things. They don't like to pay for time. They don't like it. And it rewards inefficiencies paying for time, but people like to pay for a thing. What are the other ingredients?
Cool. So next thing you want to do is actually unpack the value. So you just covered it then in that example. Rather than, you know, we're getting this, you're actually going to get this and this and this and this and this and this and this, and then that name, that price makes a lot more sense. All right. So we unpack the value to make it really clear on all of the things that go in it. On the example on the screen, your 10-week program value $19.97, 3 months of software, you know, $1,000, coaching and support priceless. Right? You're pumping up value. You've got a name on it, and now you can stick a price on it, and it makes sense. People can buy that thing. Third really cool thing to do there is actually add a guarantee. All right. in the professional services space, we're in a fortunate situation where we don't have a lot of cost linked to delivery of service. And we can back ourselves by putting in a 30-day money-back guarantee or a 60-day money-back guarantee. Now, if that's the first time you've ever heard that, you're probably going, what? I can't do work for free if someone calls me on that. But James has a good way of framing this. The number of people, additional sales that you will make because it is there, that won't take you up on that offer, will far outweigh the 1 or 2 people that want to take you for a ride on it.
The 1 in 100, the 1 in 1,000. And as well too, if you've packaged up your thing in such a way where you're offering exceptional value in the form of things rather than just relying on your time, particularly digital things, it's not such a problem. So what about the appointment piece?
Actually, before we do that, I like to cover, things that you can do with your cart pages to take it up a notch, go to the next level carts, all right? So one thing is very essential, make it distraction free. All right. You don't want to have all these things. You don't want to embedded in your website. You don't want to be going, talking about other things that throw the brain off and go, oh, hang on, what's this other thing they're talking about? You want them, when they hit a cart page, they are 90% the way there. Don't do anything to mess it up. All right. Keep it really clean and simple and just get them focused on putting in their cart details and buying. Next, have something. The number of businesses that get to the end of a sales call and get surprised by someone saying, great, how do I pay you? Where do we get started? And you don't have it set up to actually take a deposit, $500, $1,500, $5,000. You go, oh, I'm going to send you an invoice, okay? And you hang up the phone, you go to your billing system, you Xero, your accounting system, you generate your invoice, you email it off to the client, you think, yes, this one is in the bag. And you never hear from that person again. And you go, what happened? What happened? But if you had a cart link ready to go on the call, you could have taken a deposit and they'd be both feet in. Right? So make sure you've got something ready to be able to take those initial deposits. And 3, make sure it's integrated to the rest of the systems that you're using. Right? If you're just using PayPal to take money, guarantee it's not talking to anything else. If you're just using Stripe's one cart link, also not really talking to much else. Okay, you need to have this payment information integrated into the other parts of your funnel, into your CRM, so you can see all that history in a single area. All right, the other UOT is what we like to call an AWP. So in your current world, you might think of it as a sales call. But a sales call is where you're going to pitch to someone, and they know they're going to be pitched to. Whereas if you reframe this call into an appointment with purpose, where they're the ones that are getting the outcome, and then you are actually in the same process, uncovering all of the information you need to know to figure out how you can help them if you can at all. And, figuring out things like budget, etc. You're already probably doing this in some form of discovery call or sales call. You ask all these questions, they give you the information, and then you finish the call and you go away and you build a proposal and you put it together and then you play the proposal game. Whereas this process of creating an AWP allows you to take all of those questions and all of that information and shift it up into the first call and frame it in such a way that working with you after that call is a logical next step. All right. So once again, we want to have a name for this. Now, example on here is recruitment website building. We could have a call where it's a recruitment website tear down and assessment. All right, it's kind of clear what's going on there. You're going to jump on the phone, you're going to talk with an expert, you're going to review your existing website and go through all of the things that are broken, could be worked on, areas for improvement, goals that they're trying to achieve that haven't been achieved yet, etc. And in doing so, you're uncovering what needs to be done, what's they're going to find valuable, and then you've got a whole framework that you can develop an offering around. All right.
AWP stands for appointment with purpose. And the reason why is that most appointments don't have purpose. Hey, Terry Ann, let's catch up sometime and let's explore some ways that I can take your money. that there is a typical introduction to meeting up with a future customer or client via LinkedIn or email or warm call or whatever. Simon's saying, why don't we turn it into something that we can frame as a product? Once again, people don't like to buy your time, but they'll buy a thing. I will book a teardown session, but not an opportunity for Simon to sell to me. Even though at the end of that conversation, if Simon's done his job right, I will see him as the logical choice for the next step to solve the problems that I have in my world.
Cool. Next things we want to do is make sure that it's outcome focused. So the content of the call, the structure of the call is to be delivering outcomes to the lead. Okay, and we can do that through the name, we can do it through the types of questions, we can do it in the form of what we give to them at the end, whether it's clarity, whether it's a report, whether it's a one-pager, whether it's a strategy over the phone, etc. All of these things, we want to be able to deliver an outcome. All right, so we've got a name, we've got an outcome. This gives us structure, and again, like in our cart example that we were talking about, it's becoming a thing, not a sales call. It's actually a thing that I want to book, that I'm interested in having that call. And we've already covered how that's kind of working, all right? So these are the two ultimate online transactions that we could go with. Most people are going to go with this type of booking tool, all right? So how do we then get them to the booking? What's got to happen before all of those, all the steps before that leading up to it? Okay.
One just observation on that is that if you can get your AWP to such a point where it's that desirable, you can use both those formats. You can say, pay me my $297 using my cart page so that you can book my recruitment website, tear down an assessment over here. And it's a very strange mental leap to go from, hey, I used to be begging people to meet with me to now I'm charging money. But we've had clients go through this process and now they get paid to pitch. Next level AWPs.
Cool. So ways to take this up to the next level is going to be making sure your call is the right length. It's very easy to get caught up on the phone with someone that's, you know, a bit of a waffler. They've got a big strategy, big plans, and you could be on the phone for 60 minutes before you've really had a chance to talk. We want to keep our calls short so that we can deliver punch and we can then get off and have additional calls for the actual sale if we need to, moving on to the next steps. We want to make sure our call actually has a specific purpose. It needs to deliver an outcome. There is a specific goal for the person on the other end of the phone. Not so much the purpose for us, it needs to be framed in the purpose for them. And don't be foolish enough to not put a pitch at the end. All right, the whole point is to uncover everything that they need to figure out to work with you, what ways you're going to be able to help them, and then have different pitches ready for how they can get started with you. We had a question there from Chris is, how do you collect dollars straight away if it's a large ticket item and it's, you know, $10,000 plus? Well, we spoke about it before, collect a deposit to get started. Split your offering up into smaller chunks so that they could get started at a lower price point, something that you can do straight then on the phone. You know, it's a little bit of a trial of working together where they're still going to get a good outcome. All right, next step, which is the one before that, we need to have our pre-qual in place. So what's a pre-qual? Well, it's a diagnostic, not to be confused with a survey, where a survey is going to be asking questions that, give me the data, give me the data, give me the data, I need to know all of this stuff. All right, it's a very one-sided transaction. Diagnostic and how that is different is in the same way our AWP is going to be asking the right questions to get the person thinking. We want to ask questions to the prospect before they get to that point to, again, get them thinking about their pain. You know, what's their A state? What's the situation they're in right now? What have they already tried? What's not working? Get them to really unpack and uncover this. Then we want to get them to their B state, which is the gain side of things. You know, if they solve this, what's then going to be enabled as a result? All right, the types of questions in a diagnostic are probing questions that get someone thinking, that give them some value and clarity at the end. They also correspondingly give you information that's helpful to figure out if they're the right person for you to spend a lot of time with in converting into a client. Where does it go? So we put this one after the opt-in. Okay, so we're going to come to the opt-in later. We're going to come to the downloading the gift or the lead magnet, etc. We're going to put this in the middle between your UOT and after they've opted in. So you've gathered their name and their email, maybe their phone number. then you're immediately going to send them here and ask a whole bunch more questions. Great quality leads will take the time and fill in these questions, provided you're putting the right kind of questions in there.
So we sometimes call this a sandwich page. If you're wrapping your head around this, a sandwich page. We have an opt-in page, then the diagnostic, that's the meat in the sandwich, then the ultimate online transaction. It's a page between two pages. Think about it that way. It's a sandwich. Yum, yum, yum.
All right, and what's the real purpose of this thing for you, right? We want to start putting our leads into buckets. You know, what kind of budget do they have? What kind of business do they have? What kind of decision maker are they? We also want to uncover some red flags. Is this going to be someone who's easy to work with? Are they going to be talking about price in the first conversation? Are they not going to see value in what I'm offering? Right? All of the questions that you put in this will uncover those two types of things. Number four, we touched on before, we really want to help agitate the pain, make it real for them so that when they have a call with you, when they talk with you, when they receive emails from you, they are way more on point. And obviously we want to seed the gain. You know, we want to start planting ideas of possibility and hope so that they can see, when I fix this pain by working with you, this is what I'm going to get. This is my outcome. This is my end fruit of working with you. All right, so how do we make our pre-quals next level? All right, we need to make it the right length. It's easy to go, all right, well, I want to know this, I want to know this, I want to know this. I should probably ask them this and that and that and that and da 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 da. We end up with 25 questions. Nobody has time for 25 questions anymore until they've already become a client. All right, somewhere in a 6 to 12 question range is an appropriate length. And if you ask them, you can see on the screen here, it's just ticking a box. Yeah, simple question, and I'm that person, or I've done that option, or I'm looking for this location. All right, all they're doing is clicking. So click, 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 maybe type one or two things, done. Okay, so it's the right length in general. Questions are the right length, the form, the number of questions are the right length. Again, it's something that has purpose. You're not asking willy-nilly questions. If the question isn't necessary, don't put it in there. You need to be uncovering buckets, pain points, gain points, red flags. Figure out what they're thinking. Now, this is not supposed to be there. you can't really pitch in the pre-qual, but you can be doing, and this is what we're talking about, seeding the gains. All right, so you're planting the beginnings of what it's like to work with you later. All right.
You know, I was looking at that dot point and I'm like going, man, that's next level, Simon. and what I thought when I saw Contain's pitch is, as you work through, as someone completes the pre-qual, the diagnostic, we're back seeding the need for you and we're agitating the problems that they have.
Yeah.
And that means that when they get to the appointment with purpose immediately responds to what's going on in their heart of hearts. They're tapping out answers and they're going, I do have a problem with that. Sometimes it's a problem that they might not have thought of until you ask the question.
Exactly.
And they go, oh, that is an outcome I want. Once again, it might not be an outcome that they've thought about because they're too busy in the trenches running their business. And then they get to the end and then there's this appointment with purpose, which says, we're going to solve this problem and talk about how to get you to this outcome. And they go, yeah. So in a roundabout way, it does contain a pitch.
Nice, serendipitous event. So, and this is another reason, this is why we build our funnel in reverse. All right, we go back to the end goal. We figure out, what do we want them to do? What do we want them to buy? You know, on the end of our AWP, what would we be pitching? What are they getting? What are they paying? Okay, now that's the thing they're going to buy. What are the outcomes? Great. Now in our pre-qual, let's seed some questions that get them thinking in the right frame of mind.
Yeah. So okay. Marcus did ask the direct question. So should we have a pitch in the pre-qual? No, it's a mess with the slide. So it's a wrong dot point, but in a roundabout way, it just kind of works. So that's kind of cool. What I will say is about this idea with purpose is that a diagnostic can be built like a product once again. So if we know the outcome that the person wants, we can frame the diagnostic to deliver that. So you can have something like, do you have what it takes to get outcome? And the person goes, oh, I do want to know whether I've got what it takes to get outcome. And that's how we can give it some purpose. All right, so we've got the AWP, but before the AWP, we want to pre-qualify. We want to segment people. We want to elevate anticipation. We want to identify red flags and deal breakers so that they don't get an appointment with you. You don't want that to happen. You don't want time wasters and time kickers and people that you can't help to try to book a time with you. No, this is why it's very valuable to have this. You're the traffic cop. You can send them over here. You can redirect them to somebody else. You can send them to your blog and don't give them an opportunity to book a time with you ever, particularly if they're not ready.
And that's the beautiful thing of a diagnostic is you can picture it like a triage nurse. So the leads coming in, you've got your system started, they're coming into your world, and the goal is to get the right ones on the call with you. But if you've used a channel or a referral partner and you're picking up poor quality leads, you could have your calendar filled up with rubbish people that are just not suitable for you, they don't have the budget, they're wrong people for you to be wasting your time on. The form has the ability to send the right people to the booking link or the cart page, and the wrong people to a landing page, to a blog article where they can take a longer time to come around to being the right kind of lead, or it's actually an opportunity for you to send referrals to somebody else and pick up a kickback. There we go. Pick up a kickback for a lead that you were never going to want to work with, but that you spent effort acquiring, that somebody else will happily pay you for.
Yeah.
Right. So very, very cool, powerful tool with a lot of subtle things that it can do that people aren't aware of. All right. Next, we need a lead gateway. All right. So what's a lead gateway? Quite simply, it's something that is going to offer the gift to your ideal target audience. It's going to also collect the lead. So it does both purposes, right? It's not only going to collect the lead, but it's going to begin filtering the lead. So all in the same process. Typical landing page would have first name, last name, email, right? But that is one way to fill your funnel with a lot of rubbish, right? While you're figuring out the right channels to use, getting your ad copy right, all that kind of stuff, leads will be coming in. You don't want the wrong kind of leads coming in. All right. Initially, you might want to just gather the data and go, cool, I'll just take anybody so I can learn this and figure it out. And then later, I want to start adding in this filtering thing to my lead gateway. So here, like the pre-qual, we can think of, and you'll figure it out over time, what are the 2 to 3 questions that I must ask any lead so that I get the right answers and continue working with them. So in our world, one of our first questions we always ask is are you B2B? Are you B2C? Or are you B2 what? So B2B are the people that we can help the most. B2C, we can still help, but just not as well. They don't get as much value as a B2B person does. And if they go B2 what, then they're obviously not in the realm of understanding most of what we're going to be offering them. All right. So it's really important for us to figure out which of those 3 do they put themselves into which bucket. You can then also ask another good trainer of ours that we know, Dan Martell. One of his first questions in every single one of his opt-ins is, are you making more than $10,000 a month in recurring revenue or less? Really, really simple, because he knows he will get people great outcomes above 10,000. If they're lower than 10,000, they need to keep learning from his free stuff, his YouTube channel, his smaller programs, his opt-in gifts. They need to get up to that level. And in the last one with the pre-qual, we're talking about, containing the pitch or seeding what's coming. That kind of a question right from the beginning in the first transaction with somebody says, this is the benchmark. If you're not above this, you're not really going to be able to work with me one-on-one. So as you're consuming his content, as you're consuming your content, you're going, all right, 10K every month, that's the mark I need to get to. All right, I know that it costs something up at that point. That's when it becomes profitable and a good ROI.
And what you will observe is that the image on the page right now is a little bit different to a typical landing page. So a typical landing page is a long thing. It's got a lot of details. And we've discovered over time that if you're running a B2B business and you just want to get things done and get them done quickly, an elegant, simple, and I'm sure Simon's going to go into some next level strategies, a very simple, elegant page like the one that you see on the screen right now in the B2B space, we have found that it more often than not outperforms the big, long, fancy landing pages built in all the big fancy tools. Kate has asked, how is this filtering happening at this stage? And that is because rather than starting with a page that says, what's your first name, last name, email address, and maybe phone number, we can start the conversation with, and the one on the screen says, what best describes your situation? And then it's got 3 very simple questions, and we'll return to that. And what we're doing is we're exploiting a principle called game layer theory or gamification to get someone started, which is one of the reasons why pages like this convert so much better, and also how we're able to collect data. Drill a little bit deeper, Simon, and I'm sure you're going to go into more on what I just said.
Absolutely. The 4th thing that really differentiates using a lead gateway versus a typical landing page is it begins to train the lead, right? So they're hitting this, they've seen an ad, they've seen a post, they've been referred to, you've sent them a link, whatever. They hit this and they see the thing that you're offering, you've named the target audience on it, it's pointing down to the button to get the thing, and it's got a question there. Would you like to download this thing? Yes or no? Super simple, easy getting started question. Well, yes, I do. That's why I'm here. Bang. That click switches something in the brain. Okay. I've begun doing what you wanted me to do. I'm beginning to click yes. I've clicked on something that says yes, right? So I'm in an affirmative state of mind now. I've also taken the click. All right, so you want me to do clicks, I'm clicking, all right? Then they go to the next page and there's another question. Simple answer, sure, I click again. And they get to the final page, name, email, right? You're training the person to read questions and answer the questions, because what happens after the lead gateway is the pre-qual, right? So we want them to be used to answering questions. We're doing things differently than everybody else. Okay, that's really key.
All of these things, we're not selling $9.
Exactly.
We've got to put in a little bit more effort. And but however, once you've set up something like this, it's all on autopilot.
And if you've been paying attention at all of these steps in this B2B core funnel, it is the same as if you were sitting one-on-one with someone. If you are across the table with someone, like traditionally we are in this space, you're asking questions, you're providing insights, you're asking intelligent questions that get them thinking. So what we're doing is taking all this stuff that happens later when they're becoming a client, and we're moving it up to the front of the funnel, and we're spreading it out, and we're training them from the beginning. This is what it's like working with me. These are the kind of questions I'm going to ask you. I'm going to help you uncover stuff you didn't realize were issues, and we're going to solve them together. All right? We're digitizing ourselves, our process, our expertise, our knowledge, our authority, so that they understand why they should work with you as opposed to the other guy or girl. All right, so how do we make our lead gateways next level? We need them to be distraction-free. The beautiful landing pages and beautiful newsletters of 5 years ago, they don't work anymore. The attention span is so short now, it's so easy just to catch someone off guard, and then suddenly they're not opting in for your thing anymore. They're not reading your email. They've got so much going on. So 100 emails, 200 emails every day. They got phone calls, they got their own clients, they got their mortgage, they got their kids, they got, how do I use Zoom with a client now that I've never had to do before? All right, they figure out all of these things. And if you're sitting there asking them, saying, hey, check this out. Hey, this beautiful image here. Hey, what about this bit over here? They're not going to take the desired action.
Particularly for something so small as like an opt-in gift as a lead magnet. We don't have to sell it. We'll get into that and we'll get into the detail. But something at the front end of the top of the funnel where we're giving a free report or a free gift, we don't really have to sell it. But here, the example that you can see on the screen right now is distraction free. There's one step, click a button, that's it, hit go, move on.
And I just want to touch on this. So this distraction free part, we get a lot of people that go down this marketing path ask, can I embed this on my website? They've spent a lot of money investing in their brand. They've connected with it. They love it. They want to put it out into the world. They want to leverage their website more. If you go and stick an opt-in form in the middle of a website that has a header and a footer and another call to action button here and another one there, and a banner that's sliding, all these things are catching the attention of somebody else. All right. The beauty of lead gateways like this, if you keep them distraction free, is there's literally 2 options. Click go to move forward or close the browser. That's it. All right, next, we want to make sure our lead gateways are offering a gift that solves a headache. This comes back to things that James is going to cover in more detail, but essentially we want to make sure that what we're offering is a right now, immediate thing. I get the thing, it helps me now. I don't have to spend 2 weeks figuring it out. Like if I download this thing and I read it and I look at it, I could immediately go make a change and it's going to solve something that I'm dealing with right now. All right, you've been able to be efficient. You've demonstrated the efficiency, the understanding of the state that they're in. And if you can do that at the beginning for the very first contact point, everything else afterwards is framed as such. This person gets me. Yeah, they're helping my problem. Oh my God, that was so easy. Imagine what else can they help me with? All right. Again, that's training the lead. Keep it simple. All right. Ties back into distraction free, but we don't need to write War and Peace. We don't need a 50-page ebook. They need something they can consume today and get an outcome today, this afternoon. All right. On our lead gateway, we want to name our audience. All right. We don't want the 5 best tips for growing your small business. How generic can you get? All right. If you can work with any small business, doesn't mean that every small business is the right one for you to work with. So figure out what your target audience should be. There are ways that you can do that, and we can show you that later. But specifically name the target audience, right? B2B consultants, trainers and coaches, recruitment companies, all right? Just that frame, just the little phrase that the person already identifies with as themselves goes, this is for me. Yep, this is a thing that is relevant for me. Just having those 2 or 3 words.
Hey, just for fun. Hey, Alex and Andrew and Cameron and Catherine and Charmaine and Chris and Colin and Craig and Doug and Fiona and Heather and Jacqueline and John and Julie, Kate and Katrina. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Louise. Mark. Hi, Marcus. Naomi. When I say your name, do you sit up? Nikki, how are you? Paul, Rafi, good to see you. Richard, Shoba, Simone, TJ, mate, Tanya, Terry Ann, William. When I say your name, you immediately sit up, don't you? And this is the same as being able to name your target audience. If you walked into a busy shopping center or crowded mall and you said, hey, you, no one turns around. But if you walked in and said, hey, Simon, what do you do, Simon?
Pay attention. There's the actual question.
Simon's one. Cool cucumber. But anyway, they would go, what? Like that. So we need to name them, which is why with the B2B school, we have B2B Dash, we've created the B2B group. And it's so our audiences know who we're putting something together for. And sometimes we have targeted marketing campaigns where we say, are you a consultant? Are you a marketing agency owner? Are you a coach? And the person says, yes, I am. Before we move away from this slide, Simon, I just want everyone on the screen right now to read what the headline is on this particular document, which is this particular giveaway on this gateway that you can see on the screen. Can you read that? How to book more conversations with very interested prospects. Just take that in, right? That there is an immediate headache that someone in your position might have. I want to book more conversations with very interested prospects. I'm not offering the world. I'm offering a solution to one small thing, which is one small headache, which is real in the context of our audiences. And we're going to go a little bit deeper into topics in a moment too.
Cool. I'm going to pick up the pace because I notice we're digging a little bit too deep and we're running out of time. So finally, make sure your graphic is just a little bit engaging. Geez, like jump into Canva, jump on Upwork, on Fiverr, and just spend a little bit of focus getting a nice graphic put together so that it's engaging. All right, making sure that there's use of arrows just to draw the eye where you need them to go, which is down to the button. Click the button. All right. Next, item 5 is the trust sequence. So far we've got the UOT, we've got the lead gateway, we've got the pre-qual. Now these are the pages that are being jumped through in the first session. All right. But if they don't do all of the steps, we need to loop them back in over time. All right. So we use an email sequence called a trust sequence to do that. And what goes in a trust sequence? What are the right things to put in a trust sequence? First thing, we need to deliver on the promise. All right. We've created our lead magnet, our piece of content. They said they wanted it. We've got to give it to them. If you don't give it to them, you immediately present yourself as someone who doesn't follow through. I just asked for the thing. He hasn't given me the thing. Bloody hell. Jeez. All right. Next.
Out of all the ways that we alienate customers and clients, the only times we ever get people furiously angry with us is when they've requested a free opt-in gift and we fail to deliver it. How crazy. Like if someone wants something for free, they put in their details and somehow that email doesn't trigger or the link in the email is broken. That's the only time in our world where people go seemingly nuts and crazy for no reason. It's crazy. It's a free thing. They've got, whatever. Anyway, moving on. Deliver on the promise, demonstrate that you are true to your word, that you follow through.
Cool. Next, we want to put in a welcome email, usually sent the day after. All right. This is your opportunity to really introduce yourself. It's one of the most important emails you'll ever send to someone, and it is your opportunity. You can go a little bit war and peace if that's the way you like to speak. It's the opening the door, the window for them into your world. This is who I am. This is who I help. This is how I work. This is my backstory. Yeah, and I'm going to keep sending you some free stuff. If you don't want it, let me know. No problems. All right. Let them see who you really are personally. After that, we want to actually remind them of our UOT offer. So there's a whole bunch of people that won't have made the booking, won't have made the offer, the cart. We want to give them the opportunity to do that again. They could have just got distracted at the time, cat jumped on the keyboard, crying baby, whatever. We send them an email, it's about day 3 now, saying, hey, if you haven't booked in, or if you haven't clicked the purchase button, here's the link again. Let me know if you've got any questions. That's the first 3 emails. They're the most important. And then if you want to take it up a few notches, we can do 3 more emails, also spaced out anywhere from 3 to 10 days. And these would be pre-selling. So you can use case studies. Yeah. Here's a great example of someone that I was helping the other day. Here's the problem I solved. Here's the situation they're in. Here's the outcome that they've now achieved. Great. Speak to you later. Okay, not asking for anything. 3 emails like that to really get them to understand what it's like working with you through the stories of work other people have already done it. And then finally, simple 9-word email. It is one of the most powerful emails I've ever sent. And it's quite simply 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 words, right? Do you still need help with X? With specific outcome? With solving headache? Right? Whatever it is that you do, not do you still need a website? You can do that, in all honesty. If you've done all of this song and dance and courting and they still haven't engaged, you can literally drop in, are you still looking for a website? Do you still need help with copywriting? You can jazz it up a little bit more and say, do you still need help generating leads? Do you still want better quality sales pages?
So Terry said, when do you send the 9-word email? So there are the 3 most important emails you'll ever send are the promise, the welcome, and then your UOT offer. And when someone comes into our world and they work through our training program, The Recipe, which covers this stuff, we will get everyone to pull together the promise, the welcome, and the offer. Great place to start. The next pre-sell emails might take you a little bit of time to pull together. And then we have the 7th email, which is the 9-word email. And the reason why is that according to the psychologists of the world, it can take, on average of 7 touches or meaningful points of connection for someone to really trust you. So we want to automate as many of those steps and stages as possible. And we'll come back to that. But this particular trust sequence has 7 emails. The promise, the welcome, the offer, that's 3. Then you have 3 which are pre-selling case studies or videos or infographics, and then the 9-word email to bring it home. What is the frequency between emails? The promise goes out immediately, the welcome 1 day later, the UOT 2 days later, the next one 3 days later, 4 days later, 5 days later, 6 days later, 7 days later, 1 week later. And then you can just go from 1 week from that point onwards. That's the way that we do it, that we teach. Over time, you might be able to bring them in shorter, but that's the way that we teach. Cool.
Cool. So how do you take your trust sequence to the next level? Things to remember. All right. Don't try to marry them on the first date. If the first email is to deliver on the promise and give them that thing that they said, yes, I want, that they gave you their valuable email, their valuable name, you now have to follow through on that. But that's not an opportunity for you to waffle on and say, oh, great, here, you know, I help people this way and that way. And oh, it's a really great thing that you're about to do. Just give them the thing. Here's the thing you wanted. Here's the link. Great. Hear from you soon. All right. Don't try and marry them on the first date. Typical example of marrying on a first date, we get an inquiry through on our website and we pick up the phone and we have a conversation and we've even told them a price and a budget all in that first interaction. How much time's actually transpired from that person initially contacting you to having the call with you, which might have gone for 25 minutes, all right? Maybe half an hour has transpired of an actual touch point relationship here. Imagine if you went on a date and in the first 30 minutes, someone said, I think we should get married. This is going really well, don't you?
This is where you turn around and run.
Exactly.
Out the door
You need to
Check.
slow down. You need to slow down and take your time and just check, you know, is this the right person I want to spend the next 3 months working with? All right. Next thing to do, professional versus personal. We in the B2B space can often fall into the trap of writing business emails. Dear so-and-so, it's come to my attention, yada, 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 yada. All right. Today, people will glaze over that. You need to let your personality come through. People want to work face to face, regardless of whether it's online or not, with someone. They need to see who you are. They will trust you, not your brand, not your tone. Let your personality come through. All right? People respect it. The rawness, the trueness, the transparency, it's appreciated. Make sure it's freaking automated. All right. If you don't have a system in place and you have to send it manually,
7 emails.
Make sure you're
Is it
doing
day
it.
3 or is it day 5? What day am I on here?
Exactly. You can't do this without putting automation in place. You have to have this stuff happening. If someone opts in for an ebook of yours at 11:30 at night, or on the other side of the world while you're asleep, and you don't get back to them until the next, even if you're vigilant, you're like, I get up early, I check who asked for it last night, I send it to them through my Outlook or my Gmail, it's just not gonna work. People are in the state of mind, when they ask to download something, they wanna read it right then and there. If you can't give it to them until 15 hours later, they've probably forgotten all about you, all right? And then don't even add to that, getting 20 leads at a time come through. You can't do this manually. Okay. More touches, not less. Rather than doing everything in one call, stretch it out. Have an extra email. Have an extra phone call. Have 3 phone calls if it gives more time with someone. I'm just going to touch on this. So you may have heard, if you go and buy a car, if anyone's gone to buy a car, right? You go into the sales lot, one rep will come over and say, yeah, how's it going? Looking for anything particular? All right, cool. Here, if you need me, just let me know. And he'll leave. He'll then come back. Sorry, so he's gone away and he's come back. That physical separation between the two of you creates this relationship happening. Even though it's been 10 minutes, 15 minutes, seeing him 2 separate times creates multiple touches in the relationship. That will happen again if you actually go through and look at financing and everything. Somebody else, a more senior person will come over, he will go away, and then he will come back over. It might happen 2 or 3 or 4 times. So in the space of 30 to 60 minutes, you've had this separation happen 3, 4, 5 times, right? And it creates this embedding, this trust. Okay. Another one that often gets skipped is not thinking about the subject line. Walk through the journey of the person. They've gone to a screen, they've clicked download, and it says, great, go check your emails. They go and look at their email and there's the subject line. Put some thought into it. Everything that goes into every one of your emails, that subject line will be the difference whether they read it or not. Okay, you could write the best email in the world, but if you haven't put a decent headline, a decent subject line, it's never going to get opened, and it'll all be for nothing.
A newsletter used to have the subject headline newsletter. Of course, then we, picked out the best story from the newsletter, and then we made the newsletter into one story.
Mm-hmm.
But for the promise email, the subject should be something like, here's the report I promised. It's just make it very clear. That's what I get. That's next level.
Cool. And finally, do your best to de-spam the email. All right. I keep coming back to this, being personal, letting yourself come through in your questions. At the bottom of your emails, include your photo, your headshot. put your mobile phone number. Now, people might go, what's my mobile phone number? I don't know these people. But why are you trying to get the lead in the first place if you don't want them to be able to pick up a phone and call you? It is really simple. It's actually a really good win if that person gets the lead magnet and goes, oh, there's a phone number there. That was great. I'm going to call this person and talk to them. Bang, you've got an incoming, very interested prospect coming to you.
And they're
You're
educated.
not chasing them, and they're educated because they consume your content.
And they went through the lead gateway, then hopefully the diagnostic. Then maybe they didn't book an appointment because it was 11 o'clock at night and they didn't have their calendar with them and they're on their second glass of wine. But now they're doing it because you made it easy.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that you can do to de-spam is make sure that the emails are going out from your mail server via G Suite, via Exchange, via Outlook, rather than MailChimp or an autoresponder, because those emails have this beautiful HTML. Down the bottom, they have words like unsubscribe, manage your preferences, which are all keywords that get picked up by spam filters and automatically chuck those emails into the promotions tab or the junk or the newsletters tab. All right, and if your emails are going there and not into the main inbox, they're coming from those servers and not your email address, you have a much lower deliverability and less people are going to actually see your emails. All right, so let's just recap 5 essentials, right? We've got the piece of content. We need that piece of content to really be nailed. We need our lead gateway to give them that piece of content and begin doing our initial pre-qual, training the lead. We need our pre-qual to ask all of the questions that we're going to help agitate their pain, seed the gain, put them into buckets, identify red flags. We need the trust sequence to court that relationship to a point where it needs to, so that we can make the sale. And finally, the UOT. What is the ultimate online transaction that we need for them to take for this to go anywhere?
Take the money, book the meeting, or both. Take the money so that they can book the meeting, or book the meeting so you can take the money. Either way, whichever works out for you. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to break this down and we're going to give you an example, and we're going to break down the image that you can see on the right of the screen. And I'm also going to spend a moment just to talk about some of the qualities of amazing content. Then I'm going to give some of you guys and gals the opportunity to continue working with us. And that is because we've covered a lot today. We've still got some more to get into. And what we know is that some of you guys and gals will want to know what tools we're using, how we're using those tools, and the underpinning strategies to go with it. And while we've been doing this, you may have seen comments from people like Kate saying, hey, can you get me a template for a welcome email? And I'm like, sure, Kate, we've got that in the training. Someone else might say, what could be my appointment with purpose? Well, we've got that in the training, right? So there are layers to this that we can help you with beyond what we're talking about today. So should we talk about content?
Yeah, let's switch over. So I'll hand over the screen sharing to you, but while that's happening, while James is getting set up, use the chat tool. I want you to think about which of these 5 pieces, what were your take homes from today? What were your epiphanies, your aha moments? What's 1, 2, or 3 things, action items that you can go away and implement today? What's the one thing? Drop it over in the chat. I want to see which bit's got the most value for you.
Simon, you need to flick a switch so that I can take the screen.
Cool. There we go. Do I need to make you host?
Have you done it yet? Make me host.
I'm done. Make you host. Here we
go.
go.
I feel so powerful. Suddenly getting my screen back again. All right. So what I want to do really quickly is I want to run through an example of what we just saw in action. It's a scaled back version of what we just saw in action, but we run through things like that and it's very theoretical. And I know you know all the pieces because you've seen them all. And when you pull them together the way that Simon does, you might think, oh, that's a lot of pieces. But from the consumer's experience, it tends to feel pretty seamless. So the tool that we use to build out everything that you saw on the screen, the lead gateways, the pre-qual forms, the email sequences, the appointment with purpose page, the cart page, one tool. And the one tool that we use is B2B-.io. So here's the example that you saw on the screen just a moment ago, how to book more conversations with very interested prospects. I've kicked things off with a no-brainer question. What best describes your situation? The second answer is, What best describes the situation? Most sales just happen online without a conversation. The second one is most new client relationships start with a conversation. We mostly just take orders over the phone. The topic is how to book more conversations with very interested prospects, which means that everyone is going to pick number 2, right? I haven't asked a difficult question. It's a no-brainer question. I go, bam. Now, normally I'd have 2 or 3 questions and I'd filter it, but this is a demo, so I don't. But what I want you to observe there is when I clicked the box, it automatically just went to the next stage, which is why this elegant distraction-free page converts so well, because I just want to answer the question. Tick, boom, we move on. It's like computer games. Computer games are outrageously addictive because they give you the easiest level first, not the highest level, the easiest level. Success, prepare yourself for a surprise in 3, 2, 1. Great. You have unlocked a secret one-time only invitation to get a B2B funnel mapping session for free. Now, some of you guys and girls may have seen this page. You may have even tried to book a meeting. You may have even been successful when you've tried to book a meeting. B2B funnel mapping, do you qualify for a strategy session? Another thing to observe here is we've got one image at the top. Super easy to do. You can pull it together in Canva, whereas you can spend a lot of time on big, long, advanced landing pages trying to work out what's what. Very simple. What do I get from the meeting? We're going to grab the attention of clients. We're going to work out the best funnel for you. We're going to help you close better quality clients faster. Here is that filtering question that Simon mentioned earlier. What type of business do you have? B2B, B2C, B2, what? I'm going to do B2B. How much is a good client worth? More than $1,600. I can answer a bunch of questions here. Put in my phone number. Better quality leads always have phone numbers. I'm in Australia. Great, almost done. Did you notice how the second form did not ask me for my contact details again? It doesn't need to. The technology is smart enough to remember from the first time around. Time, Paul, would you prefer 45 minutes or 15 minutes? You know what? I think I just want to do a 15-minute session. Success, the form submitted successfully. And where am I going now? A power chat. Now I can book my time with John on the 31st of the month at 12 noon in the middle of the day. And I can go through that process. Again, we've used B2B Dash. And the wonderful thing about this is that then we can collect all our data and keep it in the one place. So at the moment, we can see that the most recent person to come into the B2B Dash dashboard is this guy, James Tuckerman. It's me. And we can also look at our data really quickly. And I can see, for example, that this month I've got 180 leads and I've booked 46 meetings. What's the conversion on that, guys and gals? 46 out of 180, it's almost about 25%. So 1 in 4 people that are coming into my world are booking a meeting. I can have a look at how many people are in automated sequences, how many people are nurtured, how many emails have been sent, what my open rate is at 72%. I can also track sales at the very pointy end of the funnel. And that there is an example of exactly what Simon just worked through. But from me as the user, I answered a question. I wanted to get more conversations with very interested prospects. It introduced another opportunity. I answered some questions. It introduced me to the appointment with purpose, and I would have booked. Quick question here. When I answered that first question, what happened next? Behind the scenes, B2B Dash would have sent me my promise email. So I would have got my report. It then would have triggered a sequence so that we can build the relationship in advance. A much simpler way of doing things than, oh man, you were talking about it before, Simon, like 20 phone calls and back and forth and sitting in a room, having a conversation. We got a great testimonial from a guy called Robert Gowdy. And the testimonial basically said, it's great when I have a conversation with someone and they're already sold before we even start to talk. And that's what we all want. We don't want to be stuck having sales conversations with people all the time. What we want to do is we want to be serving, selling and serving. And if we can be having conversations, appointment with purpose, where we're serving after already doing a little bit of serving, we're providing a really, really positive experience. Hey, Simon, what were some of the take homes that you saw earlier when you asked that question and I was busy playing with screens.
Yeah, good thing. Let me just jump back. Here we go. So Jacqueline said the trust sequence.
The trust sequence.
Getting that trust built before there's any kind of real-time conversation. Alex said actually switching it around the order, so building from the end first and going backwards that way, rather than first to last. So having the end in mind means that you're arriving at a clear destination. So that was his massive epiphany. Cameron, same deal, starting with the end. It's a powerful step. Just shifting your mind gets everything to happen a lot easier. William, also starting at the end, not the beginning. Loving to see these themes of unexpected things that are valued, right? So Fiona, loving the next level aspect to this. It's starting to really sink in. So you get your what, you get your how, you get your understanding of the why, but then what are those nuances that I'm missing? How do I become advanced at this stuff? Getting those little next level bits.
Yeah. And if we totally bring this back to Simon's 3 slides at the beginning, where we had the Wall Street stockbrokers from 1987 all yelling at each other, that's the way it begins. We want to learn how to build a funnel. There's all these different voices all yelling at each other. Simon's brought it down to 5 different things. He talked about overwhelm. If you want to get rid of the overwhelm, think about the destination. And then, of course, we've introduced you to one tech tool, which we'll come back to again. Pretty cool.
And just finally, Andrew there said the trust sequence, and then the details around the gift. Like, what is it supposed to achieve?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about
really clear on that. So let's go. Let's dig deep.
Let's talk about the gift. Let's talk about content. Can you tell me what I just wrote on the screen right now so that I know that the technology is working? I just wrote a word, pretty hard to read, but hopefully you can understand what I wrote. Tap it in the chat tool and let me know that you figured out what I wrote. Now, when it comes to opt-in gifts and lead magnets, this can be done really badly. And I'm sure that you've seen it done badly just about everywhere. Every second person now has an opt-in gift or lead magnet. I'm sure a bunch of you guys and girls have produced opt-in gifts and lead magnets that did not convert. Now, if we go back to the lead gateway, one of the most important defining factor as to whether or not that page is going to work is the subject of the content. If the content does not resonate with the audience, it's not going to work. So I'm going to address 2 areas that I think are the most important when it comes to the content, and is the type of content and the topic. When it comes to the type of the content that's going to work will actually come down to timing. And what I mean by that is that the earlier on you are in the relationship with a future customer or client, the smaller it shall be. All right? Did you catch that? Less is more. If you are dealing with someone that doesn't know you, you want to give them something small, short, simple, and powerful. So people say, what should I give away? I say, make it a thing. That's something that's a theme that we've revisited a few times now. Make it a thing, but make it a small thing. And this is the opposite of what a lot of people do. They say, I really want to dazzle my new customers and clients. Unfortunately, if you offer them a 112-page ebook, they think, I'm never going to read that. And they don't do it. You're better off offering a 1-pager than a 150-pager. Less is more. As you move forward in the relationship, you can give them more complex things. But at the beginning, keep it really short. Make it a checklist or a cheat sheet or a template. Make it really, really simple. Something short and simple at the front. Keep it simple. Then as you work through that welcome sequence, that trust sequence, maybe when you start to get to emails 4, 5, and 6, then you can introduce something that's a little bit more complex. Because by the time you get to having that conversation, that's a 45-minute investment or an hour's investment for your prospect. That's a lot of time. But we don't want to, once again, ask a stranger to marry us on the wrong date, on the first date. Jacqueline said, like drinking from a fire hose. That's right. We want to keep it simple. Less is more. So when we talk about the type, make it a thing and make it a small thing. When it comes to the topic really comes down to the target audience. All the time we need to be coming back and going, what does the target audience want? Who is the target audience? And what are some of the things that they need? Here are a little bit of a few little next level tips. You ready? How-to headlines. You saw that mine was how to book more meetings, how-to headlines. And a comment observed that they liked the how-to structure. When you give something a how-to headline, you're immediately moving into the world of instruction. You're providing a solution. Whereas if you cannot give your opt-in gift a how-to headline, you might end up falling into the world of opinions. And no one will pay for an opinion. So for example, would you pay Tiger Woods for his opinion about the PGA? No, you would not. Would you pay Tiger Woods to improve your golf swing? Yes, you would. So how-to is really, really, really important. The second thing is a headache. Think about the headaches that they have before they know they need you. So for example, we have a training program, which I've mentioned once or twice already, called The Recipe. And it helps B2B business owners pull together their first high converting lead generating funnel while positioning themselves as an authority, right? They become the prize. And it's a process, but no one begins thinking this way. They don't think, how am I going to become the prize? They might not even be thinking, how am I going to create content, or even how am I going to create leads, or how am I going to create a lead gateway, or how am I going to create a diagnostic? They're thinking, how can I get more conversations with very interested prospects? So what is the headache that they have before they know they need you? And you have to go back a few steps. You go, what do I do? But what are they thinking about before? And the last word that I'm going to write is evergreen. There's a really big temptation to think about what's going on in the world right now and produce an opt-in gift to match that. I made that mistake earlier on this year. Clubhouse was blowing up, or maybe it was last year, but Clubhouse was blowing up. And I said, I'm going to produce an opt-in gift on Clubhouse and how to get started on Clubhouse in B2B. And that went off like a firecracker for about a month. Now it's useless to me. Whereas I have other opt-in gifts that I've been using for 5, 10 years, and they're continuing to convert for me. So when it comes to the content, next level, the two things that you want to get right is the type comes down to the timing. If they're a stranger, keep it simple. If they're a suspect, introduce another level. Prospect, higher level once again, because it's really only your clients that are going to consume deep and meaningful content. From the topic, focus on your target. It's always about the target. Come up with their how-to headline, and then what are the headaches that they have before they know they need you, and then keep it evergreen. Now, I shared a little bit of a walkthrough before, which was me walking through an example on the screen. And you saw me start with a lead gateway that moved on to a diagnostic, which moved on to an appointment with purpose. You saw me do it. I pulled it together. I worked through the process as a prospect would. And I gave you our example. But I also want to share with you an example which came from one of our clients. Now, this is John Weikart. And when he came into our world, he said, I want more appointments. I want more conversations with clients on the phone. So right from the beginning, who is your ideal target audience? Who do you want to work with? And he said, new product developer, someone who's just developed a new technology product. So like a startup or an entrepreneur. So what's your end goal, John? Well, I want them to book a call with me. Well, what could we call it? Let's call it a power up strategy call. In 45 minutes, we'll work through a proven 5-part formula. He unpacked it to identify the top opportunities, outcomes for accelerating the progress of your new technology product or service, target audience. And he pulled together the page that you can see on the screen using B2B Dash. And that was his appointment with purpose page. He started with the end in mind. He pulled together the other ingredients, and at the very front of the funnel, you can see his lead gateway. 5 steps to stop your product sabotaging your startup. What best reflects your circumstances right now? This is the first question. Are you the boss? Are you the product manager? Or are you the marketing decision maker? If I hit that page, I would immediately go, boss. I don't have to think about it. Boss. And it would start, and I'm working through, and it's all happening. Now, John, he set that up, and then he reached out to me and John and Simon and the rest of our community in our B2B School private members only group. And he said, so I delivered messages to 50 people on LinkedIn, one of the strategies that we teach, how to use LinkedIn, 9 hours ago. Since then, 7 people have contacted me through LinkedIn, 6 people have downloaded my book, and 1 person booked a meeting with me 9 hours ago. 9 hours ago. I'm like, great, that's fantastic. Keep me posted. About 48 hours later, she ordered. I'm like, what? My brain goes, what? Who ordered? What? Oh, the person who booked the meeting. I reply, yeah, baby. Thanks. Couldn't have done it without you. She came from LinkedIn. I wrote, it's been a rapid journey. What, 6 weeks? Because it'd been about 6 weeks since he signed up for our training program. Then about 4 or 5 days after that, another client, new client, I sold a $1,900 report. Woohoo. Now, John's product is a $10,000 product. And he realized that he was struggling to sell a $10,000 product on the call. So now he introduces his $10,000 product on the call, but sells a $1,900 product on the call. At which point he can say, have you got your credit card handy and let's do this now. Bam. So shortly after that, I reached out to John again and I said, break it down. And he said, I got 73 leads via LinkedIn, 12 meetings booked. It's a pretty amazing conversion rate. 2 sales of my core product, and I have 2 more decisions pending. I did that in 2 weeks. Now, the reality is that he didn't do it in 10 weeks. He actually did it more like in 6 weeks plus 2 weeks. But the point is now he can do it again and again and again and again. He came into our world. He spent 6 weeks sharpening his axe, working out which parts of the tree that he needed to focus on when it comes to cutting that tree down. He spent 6 weeks getting that all organized. And then he spent the next 2 weeks making it happen. And he made a whopping amount of cash, particularly relative to his opt-in gift. And he did it using one tool. What was the technology stack that he used? He used B2B Dash. He had the lead gateway. He followed it up with emails. They booked the meeting through him. And he also took payment using that one tool. So what you can see on the screen right now is the holy grail of automation. Here's what we want to do. We want to attract an opportunity. We want to pre-qualify the lead. We want to book an appointment. We want to elevate anticipation. We want to host the meeting. We want to manage the follow-up so that we can close, and then we can take someone into our world and we can onboard them consistently. And as you might have noticed, yes, guys and girls, this is indeed the holy grail of automation. Pop quiz. What's the purpose of a sales funnel? Now, as we move into the home straight, the tippy top of this particular conversation, I would just want to make sure that you're still with me and that you're paying attention. So I've got a pop quiz. What's the purpose of a sales funnel? Is it speed, money, or time? Is the purpose to build trust, to educate and accelerate the deal? If you think it's that, type speed. Is it to get more done for less money? Type the word money. If it's to save you mountains of time, I want you to write the word time. Which is the most important? Pop quiz. What's the purpose of a sales funnel? It's interesting that both Tanya and Chris wrote trust. I love that you wrote trust. But what I will say is trust is a means to an end. Trust is, oh, it's on my screen, build trust. The purpose of trust is to accelerate things. And the old way of building trust is spending a lot of time in somebody's company. The new way is to automate the method. Terry says time, Terry and time, Shoba and Terry. Shoba says speed. Yeah, Jacqueline says time, trust, time. All of the above. I love it, Marcus, all of the above. Now, there is no, right or wrong answer, but I'll tell you my perspective. My perspective is that for me, it's about the time. If a funnel can save me time, right, it frees up my time to find ways to do things more efficiently. And if I can find ways to do things more efficiently, I will make more money. If I've got more time and more money, I can reinvest in my business once again, and I can accelerate things. I can build trust faster. I can educate faster, and I can accelerate. For me, it's the time piece. And the reason why is that time is clearly one of the most valuable things we all have. Once it's gone, it's gone. But we can make time. And the more time we make, the more we free things up and the more we can get stuff done. I'll tell you what it's like. It's like interest or investing in shares. It's compounding. The more time that you can free up, the more time you have to free up more time, and on and on and on and on it goes. I hope that that makes sense. Jacqueline says time is the most valuable commodity there is. So Some of you guys and gals said speed. Some of you guys and gals said time. Some of you guys and gals said money. Would you like to get all three? Would you like all speed, money, and time? Well, Simon had this slide up a little bit earlier, and I talked about it. I said that there are many steps. Well, he said that there are many steps and there are also many tools. There are an outrageously high number of tools out there. You got no idea. And we can use all these different tools, which obviously stretches our mental bandwidth. And then we have to cobble them all together using tools like Zapier and other integration tools. And then we have to use another level of mental processing power to be able to evaluate their performance against each other. In our world, if we're seeking speed, money, and time, we have a little bit of a Swiss Army knife called B2B Dash, and I'd like to introduce it to you, and I'd like you to enter our world and become more familiar with it in a moment, but not right now. The other thing that I want you to observe about Dash is that unlike a lot of online tools, if you enter our world in the right way, following a set of steps that I'm about to introduce you to in just a moment, you'll get 3 setup sessions. Not necessarily with Simon, but you might be lucky enough to get them with Simon. Hutchie here says, in the past, I've invested heaps of training programs, and you guys by far and away the most hands-on, and I really appreciate that. In our training, we're hands-on. In our technology, we're hands-on, and that's because we realize that some people have a natural fear or an apprehension of technology, and we want to remove that fear or apprehension from you as much as possible. So let's break down this funnel that Simon was talking about, and let's put it in the real world. Now, there are 2 ways that you are going to get leads. The first way that you're going to get leads are inbound leads. These are people that just come into your world. They're inbound. Someone responds to your email newsletter, or they fill out the contact us form on your website, or maybe you get a referral from somebody else. That's inbound. That's one way to get leads. What's the other way to get leads, guys and gals? If one of them is inbound, what's the other way to get leads? And I'm looking for a word that ends in bound. Thank you, Marcus. That's outbound. Now, the thing about outbound is that there are a lot of bad outbound strategies. A little bit earlier when I had John Weikart on the screen, I used the expression intelligent outbound. Yes? And I used intelligent outbound because there are a bunch of different dumb strategies when it comes to outbound. Cold calling, oh my goodness, door knocking, going to networking events without structure or focus, take up so much time and deliver so very little. They're all forms of dumb outbound. Intelligent outbound, on the other hand, is where you begin with something like a gift. And if you have a gift, you can put that gift on your website, you can run ads, you can form strategic marketing alliance partnerships. These are 2 hands shaking hands. That's what that is. You can do stuff on social media, Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, and you can share your gift. And that's outbound, it is, right? You're running an ad, or you're working with a marketing alliance partner and they're promoting you to their network, or you're posting things on social media. You're pushing it out there. But the difference is instead of harassing strangers, you're saying, check out my thing. Would you like it? And hopefully they turn around and they say, yes, I would love that thing. At which point we have our lead gateway. Yeah? And the lead gateway is the combination of the page and the gift. That's the lead gateway. Guys and gals, after someone completes your lead gateway, where do they go next? After someone completes your lead gateway, what is this particular box that I'm going to put right here? I called it a sandwich page a little bit earlier. Can you remember? What was it? What did we call it? Diagnostic. Thank you, Shoba. Yeah. What did Simon call it? He called it a qual or a qualify. A diagnostic, a quiz, a survey, whatever it's going to be.
PRE-QUAL.
PRE-QUAL. Thank you very much. Now, the other interesting thing is when somebody comes into your world, they pick up the phone, they call you, you get someone responds to your email newsletter, you get a referral. As Simon said, most people just jump on the phone. They jump on the phone and they start to call, yeah? They just jump on the phone. Hey, let's do a deal. Let's do a deal. No. If someone responds to your email, if it's a referral, if it's just some sort of inbound lead, social, Don't do that. Send them direct to your qualification form. Hey, thanks for giving me a call. Yeah, it sounds like would be a really great fit. Here's what I'd like you to do. I'm going to send you a link to a small diagnostic, and just take a moment completing that diagnostic, and that will help us figure out whether we're the right fit. Can you do that for me? And the people who are the best clients will say, yeah, not a problem. That sounds really smart. So that's cool. After the pre-qual, we want our ultimate online transaction. Ultimate online transaction. There we go. And then, of course, when someone comes in here, we want to send a couple emails. Yeah. Promise, welcome, offer, plus say 4 more equals 7. And they all end up with at your ultimate online transaction stage. Now, what's cool about this is that you may have observed over time that it takes 7 to 14 touches for someone to really, truly trust you and engage with you. Are you ready? How many touches is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the lion's share is absolutely automated. Now, because you're part of this call right now and you're part of our world, everyone on this call is getting this. This is our recipe roadmap. You can see it's broken down into a nice little diagram. That way, if you have this diagram, you can print it out. You can refer to what we've talked about, and you can bring it into your business. But I also know that there are some people who are not yet part of our world, who are not yet a member of the B2B school, or are not yet a B2B customer or client. And you might be thinking, yeah, this is cool, but I would prefer the short way. I would prefer the opportunity to be able to work with you guys and gals, to join a community of like-minded people, to get online support, to help someone pull together some of the building blocks with me, to be able to be a member of a community where you can seek feedback, indeed to be able to work through a process rather than going, oh, I'm focusing on, I'm going to focus on this today. And then I'm going to focus on this bit. And then, you know what, I'm going to focus on this bit, and then this bit, and then this bit, and then this bit, and then this bit, right? No, you want to do it in a coordinated, linear, straightforward way, because that's how you get outcomes. You take action, action builds momentum, momentum builds more momentum, and that's the way it works. So I mentioned this name a little bit earlier, the recipe. And today I'm going to give you an opportunity to become part of our recipe training program. And I'm going to make an offer that I've never made anywhere else ever before as a special component of our B2B sales and marketing summit. And Simon's raising his eyebrows right now. Where is James going with this? So to break down the recipe is a step-by-step process that we help B2B business owners. We help them to create their first high converting lead magnet in ways that are fast and easy. We have a process that we use and teach, which helps our people create 5 to 15 items of content in as little as 90 minutes. First time, it's not going to take you 90 minutes, but say it took you 4 hours, half a working day, right? Is that better than what you're doing right now? It's a process to help you automate and then accelerate the prospect's journey by pulling together some of those pieces. And most important, it's about elevating your authority. And that's because when it comes to outbound, when it comes to inbound sales, most people do not position themselves as an authority. They do the opposite. They come across as desperados with stinky sales breath. That's the opposite of what we want for you. We want you to set up a world where you become the prize. You get incoming, very interested prospects booking time with you. You are serving, you are not selling. You can boost the volume, get them into your world. And one of the greatest values of working through a program or a process like this, particularly with our crew, is that our goal is to help you eliminate the uncertainty, the second guessing, the fear-driven indecision, and the overwhelm that unfortunately normally happens when it's time to scale your marketing. And the key word here is scale. And the reason for that is that you can spend a lot of time doing the things that you've been doing for so long doing cold outreach, maybe responding to emails manually, begging strangers to meet with you for a strategy, for a discovery session, so I can discover everything about you, right, without offering any value at all. Or you can start to look at doing things a little bit more intelligently. And the key word, as I said here, is scale. Doing things in ways that you can scale. Now, the recipe training program, it's not our first rodeo. This ain't our first rodeo, boys and girls. The recipe was my first major program that I pulled together probably about 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's generated millions in revenue for us, and probably a whole lot more for the people that have gone through the program. Hundreds of people. Now, we get happy feedback at least once or twice a week from people that have come through our world. I just pulled together a bunch of slides, a bunch of these little quotes for a different scenario the other day. I thought I'd throw them all into one slide. Indeed, there's Robert. I said him before. I'm loving it when a prospect has gone through my funnel and they're pre-sold before I even talk. Yeah, that's a really good one. A little bit earlier, someone said, what if I've got a big product and I want to sell a small product off the back of my phone call? What about John here? You gave me a great tip with selling an audit on the phone as my core product, then the retainer later. I've got 2 clients since the call. What about Andre here? Take the course, do the exercises, don't think too much, and you'll be richly rewarded. Or Louise, who is a pro B2B Dash user. Last week, I got 5 leads from people who opted in to get my lead magnet using my Dash lander, and I knew that I didn't need to do a thing because my email sequence is automated in Dash. This is not our first rodeo, kids. This is something that we have fine-tuned and finessed over a really long time, and that allows us to deliver amazing outcomes. Plus, unlike a typical, hey, I just want to buy some training, you know, a $997 self-paced course that you can buy online. In our world, you get 3 months of group mentoring calls. And you can join us from anywhere in the world. Here's Coral from Canada, Fiona from New Zealand, who I think is on the call today, Hachi from Iowa, Chris from Melbourne. This is the other Hachi. I don't know, I'm not sure if the other Hachi is from Melbourne or Sydney, right? So we have optional group mentoring calls weekly, and that's an opportunity for us to teach a lesson and also hot seat common challenges among the group. In terms of structure and format, as I said, this is not our first rodeo. We've got the resources, we've got the structure, we've got the tools, and we follow a process that we use called task-otainment. Now, if you've ever invested in technology or you've ever invested in your training and then you didn't do anything with it, here's what I want you to know. You are not at fault. You are not the problem, right? That happens all the time. People invest in training, they invest in technology, and they do nothing with it. That's not your fault. And the reason why is because there are a lot of people out there that think that it's just simply enough to download the wisdom, right? That's what, you know, you buy a course and you download it. We teach and follow a process called task-otainment, and that simply means that you complete small tasks. And when you complete small tasks, you tick boxes, you create momentum, momentum creates momentum, and you end up creating something great. If you wanted to create a massive snowball, a lot of people spend a lot of time drawing snowballs, but then they never take that moment to push it over the edge and then work with it and watch it grow momentum. That's what they don't do, which is why we have this task-otainment structure. Or as LaDonna from Illinois said, I walked away from each lesson with a piece of the process completed. Most training I've attended are more theoretical. I've been poking at this stuff but lacked structure. Thank you, James. The value of this course far exceeded the cost. Plus all the technology you need. Now on the screen right now, you can see the most popular tools for people just like you right now. If people want to collect leads, they can use ClickFunnels, Lead Pages, Unbounce. If they want to build together a diagnostic, there's Wufoo, ServoGizmo, Bucket.io. They want to use appointment booking tool, Calendly, TimeTrade, Schedule Once, Checkout, Stripe, PayPal. These are all these different tools. And together, they just start to add up. Some of these tools are, fairly affordable, and some of these tools are really quite expensive. Some of these tools might be like $30, others might be like $100. Other ones over here are like $3,000 and beyond. When you work with us in our world, we will give you access to Dash for a limited amount of time, depending on the deal that you make, the offer that we're making at that particular time. And then beyond that, Dash is a fraction of the cost of all the other tools that you need if you wanted to pull them together. Yes, all the technology that you need. Dash is a funnel builder, it's a sales pipeline, or indeed it's a client manager as well too. And as I mentioned, when anyone comes into our world, we do our best to give them everything that they need to succeed, such as a couple setup calls. So I said that I was going to introduce a brand new offer today, and I've got on the slide here, what's the investment? What is the investment for this training program, right? This training program. Now, this particular training program we sell, gee, I wish that was a different color. This is a training program that we make available, that's weird, that we make available for around $2,000 US. There it is. 1997. That is training that we normally make available for 1997. Would you like access to that for a fraction of that rate? Would you like access to support, group mentoring calls, strategy sessions? There's the group mentoring calls. We'll hook you up with one strategy call with John Inglesos and a couple setup calls. What about the technology to go with it? When I was running through the technology options a little bit earlier, and I was just doing little dollar signs all over the page, we went out there and most people are paying anywhere between $300 and $3K for their technology set. But the average worked out to be about $620 US. If you're a solo business operator or a business consultant, $620 is probably too much. Indeed, $3,000 is way off the chart. But however, $300 in terms of the amount of time and money that can be saved using automation tools is amazing. If something like Dash was able to save you 10 hours a month, I'm sure that your time is worth more than $30 an hour. There you go. So what's the investment? I'm going to give you some options.